gonna stop sharing the screen. Stop sharing. Okay. And all right. Hello, guys. What's going on? I'm here with Mr. T. So about a month ago, I did a video talking about, it was called Blacker Than Thou, Black Lives Matter is a Trap. And as a lot of you know, I got a lot of hate. I got a lot of hate mostly from black people. I got some love from black people too, actually. I would say about a third of the people that commented on the thread that were positive. I mean, so say if it's between just black people, two-thirds of the black people I probably got really hateful, nasty comments, and about a third were they agreed with me. So, and I know just by doing this for a while that there are probably a lot more black people who agreed with me but didn't comment because they didn't want to get accosted by the psychopaths that were in the comment section. So some of those people too actually wrote me privately. I had another guy on a couple weeks ago, Alvin, who he actually disagreed with me, but he was very civil, and I agreed to talk to him. And we actually had a very good, very nice, inspiring discourse. But this guy, Mr. T, who is choosing to remain anonymous because because of his educational, he's working to. Well, would you tell them exactly, Mr. T?
Yes. Thanks for having me. So, you know, I decided to remain anonymous because I'm not representing any academic institution or professional organization. I speak for myself. So that's the reason.
Okay, yeah. So he doesn't want to be in that sense, and especially since now I would say we live in such a sensitive, heightened political climate that maybe, you know, if he's in an environment, especially where it seems to be, from my point of view, I haven't asked him this yet, but from my point of view, it seems to be overrun by people that are liberal and the very leftist ideology, that maybe it is best for him to remain anonymous for the sake of his career and all the hard work that he's put into. I guess that's agreed.
And if I can add to that, I would say that I'm trying to be considerate of people who have different views.
Okay. And
I don't want to come off as confrontational. So
yeah.
It's out of respect for those people, and also I want to be able to freely share some of the thoughts that I have without having create more discussion beyond this.
Yeah. Well, you saw those comments, man. You know that they see you and then they come and get you. You know how those you know how they hurt. So anyway, so Mr. T is actually from an African country, and I thought that was very interesting. And we actually talked a little bit before this. And just to let you know, I'm also going to interview somebody that is actually African American, because I think there are some people that complained that the guy that I interviewed wasn't even from this country, and how can he speak? But this is really, to me, it's not just it's an American problem. It's actually just a black problem. So this kind of spans not just in America, but in other countries too. And I'm always really happy and interested to hear the opinion of other black people around the world. So, so Mr. T, you are from another country. You were telling me when we talked before this interview that you were what was your impression before you moved to America, about America in general and then other black people? I thought that was really it. So why don't we start with that?
Yeah. So, well, America has always been a beautiful country, the city on the hill. And so that was a country that I've always admired. I've admired the art, the movies, the culture. And speaking specifically about black Americans, the idea that I saw, or that I had, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well?
I'm just listening. I'm trying to
Perfect. Yeah. So it was the spirit of courage, of a people who would not allow themselves to be defeated, of a people that are confident, of a people that are proud. That was my view of Black Americans. And in many African countries, you will see that Black Africans want to imitate Black Americans. They want to look like them. You will see some of them try to rap and use slang, dress a certain way, just be proud or cool, if you want to use that word. So that was my idea of Black Americans and of America in general, a country of people who speak their mind, who are daring, who are proud, and willing to talk about anything. One thing I was told is if an American thinks a certain thought, they will tell you. If they have a thought, if they want to tell you something, they are very direct. They like eye contact, and you have to keep that in mind when you go for job interviews. They like to see people confident. So all of these nuggets, all of those ideas that I encoded, in my mind, I thought, well, America is a country where people speak up. Black Americans obviously speak up. So last time I think I spoke to you about Will Smith. He was an idol. He was somebody that we wanted to be like. I remember me and my friends, we had watched his movie Hitch, and it was very inspiring. He was a confident Black American. So that's the idea of Black America. Who wouldn't want to come to the United States when you have that portrayal of Black America and America as a whole? So I think that conflicted with some of the things that we see today, which are kind of disappointing. And I'm sure we're going to talk more about that. But,
yeah. I'm sorry, go on.
Oh, okay. So what I was referring to was the notion that for a number of Black Americans, not all of them, for a number of them, there's a sense of discouragement, of why try effect.
The why what? Oh, why try? Like why try?
Yeah.
Why try effect. Yeah. Why try? Get it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Victim mentality. Victim mentality.
Yeah. Right.
I'm still a slave.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Feeling defeated. I need somebody to come save me. I need the state or the government to come save me. Or if I'm in a situation, I will blame the state. I will blame the government. I will blame the country. That mindset is very, very destructive for people. And that's not what I saw when I was abroad. So to me, that was a major, major shock. And I am hoping to see that spirit come back alive. I'm hoping to see Black Americans be proud again, be strong again, be loud again. Loud in a way that
is effective.
Shows the sense of initiative, and not crying, not breaking stuff. That makes me sad.
Yeah, and I can see. I feel like people get those two things collapsed. They think that, I'm glad you said that, because there's like the being loud where you're whining like a baby and hoping that somebody does something for you. Nobody respects that. Nobody respects the whiners, no matter what race you're on. Just nobody respects that in general. Whether you're a man or woman, gay or straight, black or white, whatever, nobody respects people that whine. So, but if you're being loud, where you're trying to gather ideas and you're loud and getting your ideas out there to actually do something about it, then that's a different thing. And that's I think the thing that people have confused with like the real civil rights movement.
Right.
Where people actually were accomplishing things, and they were loud and they were up in people's faces, but they actually had a plan and they were actually accomplishing stuff. So.
Right. You made a very good point. So when you said nobody respects whiners, I think that's a very, very key statement that I kind of want to emphasize. When you have, I don't see where is the pride in saying that you're a victim.
Well,
I don't see where the pride is in that practice.
Well, you're right. There's no pride, but it works to a certain degree because I think everybody wants to be good. They want to do good. They want to be a good person. So if you can play the victim and make other people feel guilty for you being the victim, then there are people that you can it's manipulative tactics. So you can manipulate people to feel sorry for you and giving you things, but it doesn't really solve the problem. So for instance, I would say that a lot of the leftist ideology is promoting the state of victimhood. And when you're a victim, you need to be given things. And when you're given things and you're not shown how to make things for yourself, then you become dependent. So to me, I think there's this whole system that actually feeds off of people being victims because it keeps people dependent. And when people are dependent on you, then you are powerful. So
right. And you've heard, I'm sure you've heard the phrase "choose your battles."
Yeah.
And it's interesting how sometimes media outlets or social media, left or right, have they sell battles, they sell problems. So they will bring you a story and say, "Wow, this is so messed up. Wow, how could she have said that? Or how could she have done that?" And so you buy into a narrative that was not yours in the first place. You were just having a good time being yourself.
Yeah.
But then they bring you this problem, like H&M situation that came up recently. People just buy into it and they make it a problem, even if it wasn't really a problem to start with.
So could you explain the H&M situation? Is this about the little boy and the...
I believe it had to do with a young man, a boy who featured in an advertisement, and he was wearing a green, I think, Apollo, a hoodie, and it said the coolest monkey in the jungle. He was a young black kid. No, the coolest monkey.
I heard about that. Yeah, okay, I got you.
And
that's ridiculous. Yes. That's ridiculous. That's like now that boy is gonna, like, that boy's trying to work. He's trying to save it, Now he can't because, the SJW, they're crazy, man. They're crazy. I had a friend, my friend's wife, she's an amazing, illustrator, an artist, and she was working for, I think she was working for Marvel. She was working for some comic book company. I don't know it was his wife, but he was telling me that she was working for something, a project. I'll just say a project. And so the character in the project was black, but the person that was heading it was white. Like, that was like the main person in the project was white, but she was like under him, and she was working under him, and she's amazing. It doesn't matter. So then some SJWs got a hold to that information and found out he was white, and put a big stir up about it, and they caused so much havoc that I think he ended up quitting, and then she's out of a job. So they basically with their sensitivity, they put another black person out of a job. Just because there was one white person ahead, and it's comics. Like, it doesn't matter. You can draw. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's just it's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that they're harming themselves in the end. They're creating a divide. And I was just talking to one of my friends and talking about like how what do they call it? The identity politics is just a tool of divide and conquer. It doesn't accomplish anything. In fact, it accomplishes exactly the opposite of what it's intended to accomplish.
Yeah, and that's against the idea of, we celebrate MLK Day, MLK Week.
Yeah.
And we pride ourselves in this quote that, he dreamed that people would be treated by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. But you see the contradiction there in the story that you told me.
Yes, totally. But it's weird. Yeah, it's so weird because people say that, and that's what we were striving to, but now it's the opposite. People want to be given stuff because of the color of their skin, or because they have, female parts, or because they, their orientation or whatever. And to me, I don't want to be that. I don't. I don't like that. I don't like people. I just. I disagree. Something you told me too, I thought was really interesting. Could you please talk about when you came to college and how you felt the classes that you were taking were trying to put you into that victim mentality?
Oh, I was during my undergrad years, and I'm not sure if they were trying to put me, to make me a victim, but I think the orientation, the general orientation of the course material was not productive, in to me at least. For someone who wants to progress in society, you need to arm yourself with certain thoughts, and the thoughts that I was being presented with or asked to write about were rather destructive. So for me, and I thought about this recently. If there was a survey, because when you're sitting in a class and the emphasis is on how bad the world is,
Yeah.
how bad this society hates you because of what you look like, how evil white men are, for example, then, and I think to myself, okay, this is not just theory, this is reality. So that means when we leave this classroom, we're gonna leave with some feelings. There is no debriefing. There is no, okay, let's talk about it and how this is going to affect you once you leave class. No, this is real life. So you leave the classroom processing what you've been told and incorporating that into your reality. That's destructive. So I was talking earlier about not buying into a narrative. I felt that for some of those classes, there were problems that were pretty much imposed. Like, okay, you have to really adopt this ideology and fight towards this goal. I don't necessarily agree, now looking back.
Yeah.
That those were my ideals at the time. So, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. It was destructive, and when I started understanding how those thoughts can negatively impact you, they alienate you because you realize, okay, people hate me because of who I am. I'm going to protest. I mean, not overtly, but just my attitude is going to be that of a protester. I'm going to be angry at this country. I'm going to hate my fellow man. White men are the problem. We need to fight for this, fight for that. It alienates you. It makes you feel like you are separate. But the majority benefits from privilege.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't make you want to work for this country. It doesn't make you want to achieve for this country. You don't feel like part of the country.
Yeah, you don't feel like a part of society or even the world for that matter.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You literally feel like that. It's a reality. It's not just theory, but because it affects you when you leave.
That's where you get the why try it. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's been a journey.
It's funny. I don't remember if I told you this when I was talking to you, but I remember when I went to college, and I was excited because I was going to start taking classes. I mean, thankfully I had some family members in my family who would tell me stuff about Black history that I wasn't learning in school, just give me little tidbits of information. And I felt like growing up, I felt very empowered. I knew about like Garrett E. Morgan, who invented the traffic light. I knew about like Madam C.J. Walker. I went to Allensworth, which is a town outside of Bakersfield that was an all-black town. Like I had a cousin that was constantly like trying to, give me information to empower me because she knew as a teacher, she knew what was being taught in the schools. And anyway, but I was excited to learn some stuff myself and to go a little bit deeper and start taking some classes in African, history, It was not really African history, but African American history. And I was telling one of my friends who's by the way was a genius, and he never went to college, but was like making $50,000 a year by the time he was like 19. But he wasn't in college, but he was telling me, we were talking about it, he goes, be careful. He goes, I know people that have taken those classes, and when they come out, they get angry. They're like angry. And we just laughed about it because he goes, he was joking about it, but he didn't really know why that was. But it was just a pattern that he noticed with a lot of his black friends that like take those classes. They came out, they're just like angry at the world and angry at people.
See, that's a very interesting perspective. So I didn't know that other people. I didn't know that was a real. Yeah, you're validating what I just said. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but not like at the time. I just didn't think about it. And I remember taking some of those classes, and I did have a couple teachers that were really racist. That were most of them weren't. I mean, I had about 4 or 5. I would say like 2 out of 3. Like they had some issues with white people. Like I had this one teacher that would say that interracial relationships are pathological, and I just knew that was bull crap because I come from a mixed family. Like my grandmother's half white, so there were 14 of them in total, and they all married different people. They all married, like, some married white people, some are black people, some married other mixed people, some married Asian people. So my family has a lot of intermarriage in it. And I just knew that was, so I just let that I was like, yeah, whatever, dude. But I would just take the tidbits that she would tell me that I thought made sense, and I would take them in. But I've always, so I never like got sucked into the whole separatist thing.
Right.
But I could see them now that I'm thinking back on them trying to alienate. And I remember, there was a white guy in my class and she would just talk crap about white people. And I remember the teacher said something, and I was like, I turned to the dude and I was like, oh, that's messed up. Like, I don't think that, like, not all black people think that. And he was like, yeah, that sucks, because he goes, I'm here trying to get some perspective and learn about other people's cultures, but I'm constantly, every day I'm coming in here and I'm being berated. And he goes, this isn't fun for me. And I was like, yeah, I totally understand. But
can I add something?
Yeah, go for it. Sorry. Go for it.
Oh, no. So I just wanted to say, having said what I said, I am still very much grateful for the academic opportunities that I received at this institution and the many learning experiences that I benefited from it. And I really mean it. I just think that it's important that we can speak about our personal experiences and how those have affected some students in order to learn from it, or just at least be aware of it. So just putting it out there.
Well, no, but you know what? You found it beneficial because you took your opportunity. You know what I mean? You took it. And I feel like, I hope you don't think I'm like putting you in a category, but I found a lot of foreigners that come here, not illegal people, but people that come the right way. They're they work their butts off because they don't squander their opportunities. So they don't have time to mess. You don't have time to mess around.
Exactly.
So you're gonna take that, and you're gonna take any opportunity you get and try to make the best out of it. This is just my observation.
Right.
As opposed to, I think, a lot of people that are born here have had stuff given to them. They don't, and never really even traveled. They don't really understand.
It takes perspective.
Yeah, it takes perspective. A lot of them, they take perspective. Or a lot of people that have traveled, they only travel to the countries where they're, or not to the part of the country where it's their resorts, right? So they don't really go too far deep outside, of that little bubble. They're still kind of like in a bubble. And they're like, oh yeah, I've been to Haiti before, and it was beautiful. But yeah, you stayed at like the 4-star hotels, and where everything was clean, and like you don't really. So, and you can say that there are pockets of our country that are like that as well. But I want to know, how do you feel? How do you feel about the supposed, and I'm saying supposed because I still haven't seen any tape of our president saying that Haiti is a shithole country, I'll say S-hole country.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Because as a foreigner, and I see a lot of foreigners that are coming here, why did you come to America?
So I guess like you said, we can't confirm that the comments were made.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I would be curious to know, if the comments were made, I would be curious to know what is meant by that. What is meant by shithole.
Yeah, well, I think, okay, so this is my my interpretation of that is it's not talking about the people of the country, but it's the economic and social situations of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And if
If
that's
that
true,
was,
a lot of people are coming from Haiti because their country is in dire straits. They're coming on boats, rickety boats, and hiding in plane wheels, risking death to get there. So people are risking death to leave their country to come here. Then something's not right. Like, God forbid I ever have to leave America and go somewhere else. That must be one of the most painful things you can ever do, is leave your homeland, where you're born and raised, and your foundation, to go to another place for better opportunities. You're risking your life in some cases. To me, that's horrible. So I'm just thinking, if you're risking your life to leave your own country, then it must be a shithole. It's me.
So I mean, if that's the case, I wouldn't use those words if I were him. But
yeah, he could use better vocabulary, but
yeah, I think that's
tact
what he was trying to convey.
Yeah.
Now, having people come from Norway would defeat the purpose of the idea of the immigration programs that seek to give opportunity to people who don't have those opportunities. So I think that.
Well, but the thing is, to me, is we have to be careful about who we let into this country.
Right.
So we have to, you're a hard worker. You're not coming. You didn't join a gang.
Right.
So I think if the people coming from Haiti, they're going to have to show promise, and they're going to have to show how they're going to uplift this country and not bring it down, how they're going to give to society instead of taking away from that. And
right.
I mean, and not just Haiti, it should be any country. Any country should, But because I'm guessing, like Norway, they don't have their social and their social and their, what am I trying to say? Their economic issues aren't as horrible as Haiti, and they don't have a high murder rate and all that stuff. Then they're more likely to have a larger generation of people that aren't going to have issues.
That's right. And the truth is that a lot of those countries are in bad shape. Let's be honest.
He could have said bad shape. But still, he could have said bad shape. He could have been more specific. But you know what? I'm saying he didn't even say that. And to me, I honestly don't think he did, because he doesn't pull any bones about what he has to say. So he's the type of person who's like, yeah, I said that, and but he's like, well, I didn't say that. He could have said it. I don't see why he would be shy about admitting that he said it. So, especially with all the other stuff he said in the past.
Yeah. So you have all these countries who certainly need to improve. I am personally against, and I'm probably guilty of it myself, but I'm against the idea that you need someone else to better your situation.
Yeah.
I think it is unfortunate that citizens of countries have to get to the point where they leave everything. Like you said, it's not an easy thing. You literally leave not just people, your environment. You leave your environment. That's and I've thought about it for a long time. What are the psychological effects of leaving your home? We don't think about it. Most of the times, people are focused on making more money, getting an opportunity. But what are you suppressing? What is happening to your psyche while you are living in a different country? The weather is different.
The language, the culture, the energy, it's not your...
Everything is different, completely different. And you see people try to not acknowledge that something is broken.
Yeah.
Something is broken with me.
Yeah, and I've left, I'm in Texas now, but I left California. And I've actually been dealing with those same, even though it's the same country, I feel like all the states are still a little bit, they're different in their culture and everything. So I see a lot of this really horrible stuff going down in California. And I came here for other reasons, but now that I'm looking back, I'm glad that I'm I'm here, and I don't really
Right.
want to go back at the moment because it's broken and so on so many levels. It's broken,
Right.
and it actually makes me really sad because my family and my friends
exactly.
are there, you know, and I can't really convey to my family and friends about how I feel. I want to have a better life, and I want to have more freedom, and I feel like those freedoms are being taken away in California. So, you know, but they're not on that level. They're not even thinking that. They're just like, oh, you love California. California's so cool. Are you coming back? I'm like, no, not anytime soon, you know. Do you miss your country? Do you miss your country?
I do. But, you know, to be honest, I love it here. I've made a new home. I go back sometime. I go back to my country. But yeah, I hope that you know, in times of crisis, we can look at the crisis also and try to learn from this crisis. So what he said was inappropriate. If he said it, we don't know. But what can we learn from it? As painful as it is.
Well, I think maybe you can argue that the word, if he used that word is inappropriate. But I think that he's right. There are a lot of countries that are in dire straits, and there are
Right.
You know, and it's a good opportunity to expose those and expose why those countries are the way they are. And you know, I love the people of this country, but there are a lot of people in our government who are bad, and who have sucked resources from other countries and caused infighting, and that's why they are the way they are. You know, it's not the American people, but I think, you know, a lot of American people are very ignorant to that fact as well. You know, I see a lot of American people supporting these same people, Hillary Clinton, supporting these same people that, you know, rip other countries to shred. Yet they think that they're doing shreds. Yet they think they're doing the right thing because they think they're supporting people that have their interest in mind when they don't have their interest in mind.
Exactly.
They have their own interests in mind. To me, that's what it really comes down to, power. Because even in the countries that are having economic problems, there are people higher up in positions in that country that are colluding with the elites outside. You know what I mean? To me, it's a class issue. So would it be appropriate to ask, or do you think, or to guess that maybe like your home country, they have like, is it economic disparities and problems too, and between the classes and not the classes, between the higher and lower classes, basically.
Well, yeah, that's generally a concern in most African countries. That's why when people who can have a meal on their table, who can have an education, electricity, when I see them not appreciate those opportunities, those things that they have, I really, really laugh. It's funny.
No better.
It is.
I'm really thankful every time I can take a hot shower. The people they can't even get running water, and then if they do, they can't even get a hot shower. I love taking hot baths and hot showers, so I'm just always been like, I've been trying to practice gratitude lately, just because you know, I'm frustrated with some personal stuff, and I'm just like, okay, gratitude. Like, it's freezing here. It was 16 degrees a couple days ago. I'm like, God, I have a place to live. I'm not out in the cold.
Exactly.
Struggling.
Exactly.
You know, I have food. I can, you know, I'm rich. I'm actually rich compared to a lot of other people, you know.
Yeah, and it's interesting because sometimes you don't even need that perspective taking. If you just look at yourself, look around you, I think one can appreciate those basic necessities that they have. And I'm not saying that they should just be content with that and not want to improve their situation. But, yeah.
We don't need much, even though I still buy stuff. But to survive, we really don't need much, you know. I have a lot of stuff that was given to me, too, and I do get a lot of used stuff. Like, I'm a musician, but my piano and my guitar were both given to me by family members.
Wow.
Well, that it was there. They didn't buy it for me, but they just had it because they didn't need
Right.
it anymore. You know,
That's
and then
pretty cool.
I love getting secondhand stuff. I buy new stuff too, but you
Yeah.
know, compared to these people, so I listen to the people that in Black Lives Matter and complaining about stuff, and I'm just like, you're complaining at home in your house with heat and water and your electronics.
Mm.
You're writing your notes and your rants of complaints on a computer when most people on this earth that don't even have electricity. Okay,
Mm.
you know, I swear I just want to like kidnap some of these people and just like take them, throw them in a country that like a third world country for like a week, and
Mm-hmm.
then like pick them up and bring them back and wonder if they'll have the same the same view as they do.
Right.
You know. So anyway, is there anything else? Oh, I know one more thing I was going to ask you. I thought was interesting. What are your thoughts being a foreigner that has come here? What are your thoughts on people, illegal immigrants?
Okay. My honest thoughts on that are that it's important. It's the right thing to do to follow the law. I would not advise against it because we are held to high standards as a country.
Yeah.
It's a country where if you go over the speed limit, they will get you. You get a ticket. If you drive drunk, you pay for that. The United States prides itself in upholding the law and being a country of justice, and it is the law. You see that almost everywhere. So I think in that same spirit, it's important that everybody, and I have nothing against immigrants. I have nothing against people who came here and overstayed their visas but if I have to look at the principles, and I think it's important that people play by the rules because most of us are playing by the rules, and it's hard. It's not always easy. You compromise.
Yeah. And it's disrespectful to people. I've always had illegal immigrants and legal immigrants that were friends. But now I'm older, I'm looking at it, and I'm just like, I know a lot of the stuff that my friends that are legal immigrants have had to deal with, and it's like putting the middle finger in their face. It's like letting people cut in front of you in line.
Right. No, I think it's important to respect those who have done it the right way and who have paid dollars to get their citizenship, who have taken exams.
Not only dollars, but you've had to learn English. That like you're doing really well for yourself. Also considering the fact that English is not your first language. So you know what I mean? Have you thought about that? You're like, hello, like people that are complaining that, English is their first language and everything. You're like, hello, I didn't even speak English and I'm thriving.
Exactly.
What is your issue,
There's so much that's invested in the process. And I'm going to say for those who are here, I think the country needs to figure out a way to accommodate them, but we need to stand strong on the rule of law. This is what this country is based on, and this is what makes this country thrive. So those are my views. I know it's a little bit. I see both sides of the issue. Yeah. But if I have to stand on one side, I will stand by the law because that's what I already do. That's what we're supposed to do. Yeah. Yeah.
So, one more thing. I guess one more question. I'm like, one more question.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Take your time.
I'm
enjoying this.
I kind of forgot originally why I asked you to. It was about Black Lives Matter. And so, what are your thoughts on Black Lives Matter?
Yeah. So, I think this stands for justice and equality, and I know I visited their website. They have other objectives. Most people have not visited their website. They just know that Black Lives Matter. Yeah. but there is much more than meets the eye to the story. So they have a number of objectives and goals. I'm not sure exactly how their strategy to attain it.
Yeah.
Much of it has been seen on TV as a form, in the form of protests and sometimes violent acts, which is totally counterproductive.
Yeah.
My view of Black Lives Matter is, if Black Lives Matter, they have to matter in all contexts.
Yeah.
Meaning, how do we treat one another? How do we treat Africans who come from Africa? How do we see them? How do we see our fellow Black people?
Yeah.
How do we see our children who grow up without fathers? How do we see our women? So it's a whole. It's such a broad term, and all people think of is police brutality.
Yeah.
That's
which is like this much of the problem compared to
right.
what needs to be really addressed.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think, and I agree, Black Lives Matter. I agree, all lives matter. If you say all lives matter, you're saying that Black lives matter, that Chinese lives matter.
Yeah, everybody's lives. Like for sure, humanity. Human beings matter.
And then people who have the opportunity to be in a country where they can achieve, where they can overcome some of the barriers that they feel are holding them back. Because Black Lives Matter is a complaint. It's a statement.
Yeah.
Help, hear me out. Help me, hear me out. Do this for me. Take care of me. If you really look at the deeper message, it's a statement. But to who are you making that statement? Because you see, white folks are struggling too.
Yeah.
Chinese, Asians, everybody's struggling.
Everybody's struggling. Everybody has their own personal hell that they're trying to.
Exactly.
Even if you're rich, even if you're rich, people think it's about money. But even if you're rich, like, you could be going through illness, or you could be going through incest or something like that.
Exactly.
Just because you're rich doesn't mean that your life's perfect.
Absolutely. So, and I know that there are areas where we can improve as a society. I know that there are issues that we still need to address, but that we will never ever completely eradicate. So what do we do having that knowledge? What do we do knowing that there will always be somebody who is racist?
Yeah. Well, just get over it. As long as they're not physically in your way. You know what I mean? That's my goal. I'm like, there's always going to be people that don't like me because I'm a woman, because I'm black, because I'm young, because I'm, because my hair isn't straight, whatever. Like, they're always going to, and at the end of the day, it's their issue. But as long as people aren't, like, physically getting in my way because of it, then I can care less. And I'm like, that's their personal hell. I'm glad I'm not like that, because to me, having that mindset is a very paranoid, fearful way to live if you're scared of other people that don't look like you or that aren't like you.
And for my life to matter, I don't need you to agree.
Yeah, right.
I don't need to say it, because I know it. It's like when you know something, you don't need to prove. You don't need the other person to agree with you, or you don't need to convince them. Yes. And I think it ties back to what we said earlier. That confidence, that pride is lacking. Yeah. Now what you see is people who are whining, who take to the streets their pain, their perceived pain. Yeah. Unfortunately, I have to say it that way, their perceived pain. Yeah, because everything's perception, even if it's real. It's
real to them, but it's not like they're white supremacists and skinheads in this country, but we're not being overrun by them. So that's a perception that's false. But they believe that perception, because I'm gonna get a little conspiratorial here, so hold on to your tinfoil hat. But I think it's by design. I think they're people that want people to have that mentality, and I see it in the media and how they're manipulating people every day to be in fear and to feel like the world is against them, that the president is against them, that that they are powerless. Because I'm also looking at it like this too. If that were the case, if our president were Hitler and he's planning to throw everybody into camps and gas everybody, he you know, I mean, we'd be in big trouble because all these people are doing are just, you know, attacking people with their posters and yelling and screaming and crying. They don't have any strategy to do something about it. So even if it were the case, like,
Right.
like, wow,
That's
like
true.
you're just gonna like send me coon pictures and you know.
Now, I've heard the term. I've heard the term coon and cooning. What is that?
Oh yeah. So that's an African American thing. So that's basically just like a sellout. And then they'll put coon because they'll use the coon like a picture of a raccoon. And because it's like coon raccoon. So if somebody calls you a raccoon, you're a coon. So basically, you're selling out your race to please the white person. So if you saw on the comment thread, people were saying the raccoon pictures, but it just made me laugh. I was just like, you know, poor, like, oh, like, you know, sweet Jesus, no, not the coon pictures, like anything but that, no, like I'm gonna stop saying what I believe because people are sending me raccoon pictures, which are funny, which made me laugh. You know, it's ridiculous. It's very childish. It's very childish, and those people, they don't have any real arguments. They can't listen to anybody that has an opposing point of view. They're very confused because they think black people should fit into a box, and it's not just other black people. It's other non-black. It's other non-black people too. You know, I have people that say stuff to me because they think that, you know, I'm a black woman and, you know, I'm like down with the cause and I'm supposed to agree with them, and when I don't, it's shocking to them. So. I don't really, I don't know, like, I'm very grateful that I'm not in that mentality. It's very freeing to me.
Right.
And I've had, you know, I have to work. I've had my life struggles. I'm not saying it's easy, but I've never really had that mentality that I couldn't beat the system. Maybe, huh? And I just wish more, and I'm glad I don't have that guilt that I was one of the lucky ones, because I don't know if you were able to listen to the other interview that guy that I interviewed. He was really nice. He was so sweet and very sincere, but I disagreed with him. We agreed to disagree because I was just like, you got to have this mentality of like, oh well, I'm one of the black people who got lucky. I'm just one of the lucky ones, and me personally, I don't believe in luck. I believe what did they say? Luck is when opportunity meets preparation. So, you know,
wow.
You know,
so that tells you if you deconstruct that then what you're hearing him say is that black people are not supposed to succeed. That because you're black, success is luck.
Exactly.
Success is luck. That's incredibly insulting.
Yeah. And he's black himself, so it's like he's bought into it. And I think people that have that mentality, I think they really are sincere, and they're just like, oh, well, because they don't really understand the system and how it works. And also, you know what, it's also a lot of self-introspection that you have to do to get to that point, and a lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of people are too prideful to admit that they've been bamboozled and that they put trust into people, and that these people that they put trust into are leading them astray. You know, a lot of people don't want to, and I don't look at people like that as dumb for doing that, but I look at people as dumb if they don't want to, if they can't have a discourse, if they're not willing to do the work to kind of come to that conclusion because of their pride. To me, that's when they become dumb or stupid. It's stupid because they're being ruled by their pride, and not because they're ignorant. It comes to a point, I think, people are willfully ignorant, you know?
Right. I wish that a lot of people, black people, could have these conversations, and when you hear your fellow friend or brother say something, that you don't assume that they're a coon or that they're self-hating.
Yeah.
Because they want the same things that you want.
Yes,
they don't want to be. They don't want to be
different ways of looking at it. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Right. There's two different. No. That's true. There are two different ways of looking at the same situation. But for some reason that I still don't know what it is, but for some reason, people are unable to understand that. They are unable to understand that if you say I'm not a victim, they don't they're unable to understand that
it doesn't compute.
You have your best interest and the best interest of all people, of black people.
Yeah.
What they're hearing is that you're siding with the enemy.
Yeah.
You're siding with the enemy.
Like I'm joining him. I can't beat him, because in their mind,
right.
Have you heard of the phrase that if you can't beat him, join him? So in their mind, they're
right.
like, oh, well, they already think that they can't beat them. So now, because they think that they can't beat them, then they think that I'm joining them because I don't agree with what their point of view is, their perspective is. And in fact, I'm saying the opposite. And I've even had some white people write me too. And this one guy, he's an older white guy, and his grandchildren are black. And he's like, look, this is important for me too, because I have black grandchildren, and I don't want them to grow up with this mentality that they can't be anything they want.
Exactly.
So we have a lot of intermarriage in this country too. So I think there are a lot of non-black people who this is important too. Plus, not just marriages, but we have friends. I have friends that I would die for that are different races, not just other white people, but I have Latino friends, and I have Asian friends and family members, and it's important not to have this mentality, because I think once this is done away with, then you have a more secure society. When your society is secure, you have less crime, you have less violence, there's more prosperity. In the long run, I'm thinking, long term, this is a good thing.
He knows what he wants for those grandkids, and I think because nobody who loves their children or grandchildren would want them to grow up angry, hating their country. Yeah. That is disruptive. I don't know how.
Yeah, hating their country, hating themselves.
Right, and I hope people grow out of it and learn to listen to other perspectives, because I think it takes a certain level of risk to open up to hear those perspectives, and that comes with maturity. Yeah. So my hope is that people will be able to open up a little bit. Just like I like to say, just fake it, pretend that what I'm saying makes sense. Just don't interrupt me. Just listen, and let's see how you feel.
Just try it on. Yeah, you don't have to wear it. You don't have to buy it. Just try it on a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. So, it's like they're being kept in a state of perpetual childhood, like arrested development.
Right. And you have like I mentioned one time, the spirit of group. In the wild, animals hang out together, like tribes and groups of animals, and it serves the purpose of surviving adversity and predators. So once you have a member of your group, leave the group, then he becomes a threat, because the group thinks he's at risk, and he's gonna be killed and eaten by the enemy. I kind of see it, because if you see yourself as primarily as a black person, you're living in a world where your outside determines who you are. That's very primitive.
It's very it's tribal mentality, definitely.
It's tribal. So when you have an individual, separate themselves, they're seen as a threat, and it's unfortunate that the goal of Martin Luther King wanted the total opposite, but we're actually reinforcing that same idea that we are our skin color. So if you think differently, therefore you hate yourself. How did we get to that point? Yeah,
I know, right?
Wow.
Like they're like, oh, like independent thought and equals sellout or coon or self-hatred. I'm just like,
that's really.
I got this. I put this a few months ago. I put this video up from Red Elephants guy. A guy named Red Elephants, and he was talking about like how the Irish built the Empire State Building, and he was kind of sick of black people saying that they built this country. Well, I would say that he's right and he's wrong. Like every culture, ethnic group had a hand in building this country, and still does. But I wanted to share that perspective because I think he had a right to be very frustrated to hear that it was only black people that built this country. Like, I think everybody has a right to celebrate their heritage no matter what race they are. And I think that, for him to say that, I lost some subscribers, which is fine. A lot of some people got mad and they're like, oh, it must be some self-hatred. And, issue. And I'm just like, well, I mean, it's a beautiful thing though to think that every ethnic group and race have had a hand in building this country, which is true. We need each other. That's why this country is so powerful, and because of diversity. But then, not multiculturalism, because I think people get diversity and multiculturalism mixed up. So it's like you move to a certain country, you can bring your aspects of your culture, but in the end, you're going to have to adapt to where you're living to coincide with their culture, and that's diversity. It's not multiculturalism. Multiculturalism is trying to make two cultures fit in the same space, which is not effective, and it causes culture clash, and it causes war, and and it's not productive. But there are people that don't even know how to make those distinctions. So, they think that like what it say, multiculturalism is great, and I'm like, well, no, but diversity is great, but not in a multicultural, especially when you have two cultures that are extremely different, from one another. It's not productive at all.
Because people come from all over the world. In some of their cultures, they believe in polygamy. They believe in cutting the arm of somebody who was convicted of a crime.
Yeah.
You can't. It doesn't. It
doesn't fit into American cultures.
Yes, that's a different
culture. And then it's
culture.
and technically, out of respect, like you don't really want to force somebody's culture on you. But if they're going to move to a place with a different culture, you better believe that they need to learn. They need to learn to abide by the rules of the culture. I couldn't go to a culture, somewhere in the Middle East where women wear, hijabs and stuff, and not wear a hijab if I'm going to live there. Maybe as a tourist, I can go there for a few days and maybe get away with it. But I'm going to live there and work there. Like I can't be like, oh, I'm American. I'm gonna do my thing. Even though I disagree with a lot of the rules, I'm still in their country and their space. So for me to have a pleasant experience there, I'm going to have to learn to abide by their rules.
And when culture can be accommodated, such as, for example, the Muslim prayer time, these are things that can easily be accommodated and honored and respected. They are parts of cultures that are you can hardly transfer into the American culture. I wanted to add something that I said earlier in regards to the alleged comments of the president. And we were talking about basic utilities and the things that we have here. I believe that also people who live in their system, in some countries of the world, people are happy walking barefoot. People are happy with, their bed, their living room the way it is. They're happy with their religion. And too often, we also assume that we have the right culture. We know what they need. And so you have these missionaries who sometimes are not even qualified to go over to say, okay, I'm going to bring them the love. I'm going to bring them. So it ties back to the idea that you need someone to come show you the way. You need someone to come help you, which I'm totally...
To make them less savage, right? To get the savages.
Exactly.
But I'm sure a lot of these countries are...
Happy,
huh?
When people might be happy with the way their lives are.
That's very true. That's a very, very good point, and I'm glad you touched on it. Just my only thing is, like, as far as, like, what's being done to a lot of the countries that have a lot of crime rate and stuff, I don't think that they want that. But what you're saying, like, they want their resources back. They want their crime rate to go away. They want to live in health and be able to eat and prosper and stuff like that. I mean, those are basic needs that we all want. But I think that, like, I think
I was talking about the culture aspect.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. Like, who's to say that, like, you're saying walking barefoot, like, their feet are stronger. They develop calluses. They don't need shoes. It's not a big deal. Like, they know how to farm. They know how to get their own water. They know how to, You know, yeah, but it's like, you know, people going into Africa with suits and people that are very happy with their clothes and they know how to hunt. They're like, oh, we're going to make them one of us. And we're like, we don't want your shoes. We don't, like, what is this stuff? You know, like, what is this? We don't need this. You know?
Imperialism.
Yeah, materialism. You know, and
Yeah.
I'm so accustomed. I wouldn't know how to live in the wild like that. Because that's kind of one thing that bothers me too. Like, I've been making an effort during these past few years to try and become better, you know, like learn a little bit about nature and the environment and herbs. And I just recently, I learned how to shoot. I haven't gone through with it. I haven't got my license to carry, but all that stuff, you know, I'm making efforts to learn about how to live off the grid and not having to be so dependent on modern society, because at the end of the day, I really do feel the way that we're using this technology and the fact that we're sucking the earth out of the resources, but we're not putting it back in. We're not putting the resources back in. That this is only going to last for so long. You know, so and we get to the point, you know, even though these people, the tech nerds are very, very brilliant when it comes to coding and inventing things, at the end of the day, they're not going to be able to eat their iPhones. You know, they're still going to need food and water and air.
Right.
You know, and community and you know, and love and, you know, things that you can't get, you know, through technology.
And one thing that I hope maybe your viewers would ask themselves is, what if we did not see the things that we see? Let's say, for example, white police officer shot a black man.
It'd just be more like on police brutality is bad for everybody. You know, they're people that misuse their power.
Right.
We can get more accomplished done. This is why I'm so done with racism. I mean, we have so many other problems on this planet that need to be taken care of. You know, a lot of environmental issues and a lot of other issues that we can't accomplish if we stick together. I'm sorry, what?
But for some reason that keeps coming up, and I'm thinking, if people realize or think about what would your life be like if you did not see this short video clip, would you be angry? What if you did not see the things that are presented to you? You know, you watch the Golden Globes, same themes. The same themes keep coming up. It's all about, this dynamic between men and women and white men. Yeah,
they're pouring salt in an open wound. But for me, I'm going to go as far as to say I think that's by design, because they're people, to keep the people in that state of mind that are buying into this. You know, they're not empowering them. They're just pouring salt in their wound. More racism, more, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And they're like, yes, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. You know, and then to the point where they go outside and somebody smiles at them, and they're like, oh, microaggression. They smiled at me because I'm black. They smile at me, but they really hate me deep down inside because they're smiling to hide their racism. Like, what? Okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's why we
but
have
it's
to be
true.
careful.
It's true.
It is true. It is true. We have to filter what we hear, what we watch, what we listen to, because there's more to life than a police officer killing. That happens all the time. But there's more to life than that. So when you sit in your living room expecting to watch the news, it's a big world. There's so much happening.
Yeah.
But when all you see is the same theme, and if you don't ask yourself some questions,
like, why are they choosing just to show that one thing? There's so many things, you know. So,
that's quite interesting.
Yeah, it's very true. Is there anything else you want to? I think I'm gonna start wrapping up. Is there anything else you want to add?
Nothing. I just want to reiterate that those are my personal views, and I'm not representing anybody. Okay. And I hope that whoever will listen to it will take what they believe is productive and ignore what they believe is not productive to their life. So
that's with anything, you know. I said that's with anything. But yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So the goal is to help people maybe think differently or improve or learn something new. So yeah, it was a pleasure to chat with you, and thank you so much for
No, thank you so much too. I think people in general,
Right.
need to have more conversations like this. But I also just think I'm gonna have to say I don't have to say black people just because I'm able to have more conversations like this with people that are my friends and family that are non-black than with black people. And I think that we just get so emotional. Which emotion could be good if it's directed in the right direction. I'm not saying to get emotional is a bad thing. But they just get so emotional that they can't even, like, have a discourse because they're attacked. So I'm hoping, we talk about other things on this page, it's with me and my best friend. But when I can, I won't solely focus on this, but I'm going to start trying having more conversations with other black people. Just on the subject of race and their perspective. And I think... And this right now, I know there has stuff to be done. This is all I can offer because my spare or my time, the time that I have, because I'm doing a lot of things. But all I can really offer at this moment is just to talk about it and put it out there, because I know for a fact, once people see other people, us having these conversations, then they're going to have the courage to do the same. And like I said, there are many people that read and they look at the comments, but they don't comment, but they're listening. And I know that there are more of us out there. So. I just wanted to extend an olive branch to the people who think that we're traitors and say, look, we want prosperity. We don't want racism. We just have a different way of looking at it. And we wish that people would be more empowered and not fall for the victim mentality. And I'm not saying that you don't have a right to feel anger about how you've been wronged. But you have to know that you have the power to get out of this yourself. And when I say people don't owe you anything, you can't argue maybe, but at the same time, by yelling at them and stuff, they're not going to give you anything. So you can't depend on people to save you or to give you stuff in order for you to prosper.
And if someone gives you something, they have control over you.
Yes, exactly.
Because they can take it anytime. You're not gonna. If someone says, "Okay, I'll give you something. I'll give you something," you're not really.
It's not free.
You don't really own that. No, it's not.
Yeah.
And It's not free. You have to earn it. You have to look at somebody in the eye and say, "I earned it. I took it." That's how it is. It's a dynamic.
And you can keep doing it. Once you know how to do for yourself, you can keep doing it. Like they say, lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Or, no, teach a man to fish. Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, and he'll eat for life. Sorry, I got the animal analogies mixed up. But that's what it is. I was like, it's a fish, it's a horse, I don't know.
Because even if you give like, money, even if the government were to give money or free housing and all of that, what is the long-term purpose? So you're just gonna sit around and take stuff?
They're doing it out of the kindness of their heart and because of their white guilt, don't you know?
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
I don't think that's the way to go about solving these issues. I do not think that asking for compensations. You want to be. I believe it's good for people to if you if you have pride in yourself, enough pride, you would not want to be given stuff. You would want to earn your place at the table. And I want people. I hope that people will get to that place, because that's where real freedom begins. That's where the anger is gone, because you don't think somebody owes you anything.
Yeah.
You can't be angry at that point.
Yeah. No, very true. Very true. That's where real freedom begins. We all want to be free. So, yes. On that note, I think I'm going to stop it right now.
Yes.
But I just want to thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And,
good luck with the rest.
Yeah, thank you so much. Good luck with everything, too. Just keep in touch and,
Absolutely.
I know we might post some crazy stuff on the page, but take, like you said, too, take what you can, what benefits you, and just discard stuff that doesn't.
Yeah.
So, all
right. My name is Mr. T.
Okay. I'm gonna stop the recording, but don't hang up, because I'm gonna talk to you a little bit more.
Okay. All right.
Bye, guys. Peace, truth, and love you guys. Bye-bye.